Hey guys, unfortunately today's video isn't going to be like our usual content where, we usually try to keep it upbeat and happy or be sharing useful information to you guys, stuff that we've learned RVing, but today is a pretty sad topic, and the bad news is that Alice, our nearly 2-year-old cat, is currently in the hospital. Just to catch you guys up on what's going on, 5 days ago Alice started vomiting, and we didn't think it was a very big deal because it was just once in the morning and once at night. And cats they throw up. It's something that cats do. And there was no blood or anything like that, no food in her vomit, so we didn't think it was that big of a deal.
She was still eating and drinking and going to the bathroom.
Yeah, and then the next day she was vomiting again, but again, not very much, so we didn't think there was a big deal. And then the next day, so that would be 3 days ago?
3 days ago.
She started vomiting just like all the time, every 5 minutes, and she looked like she was in a lot of pain. And we were like, okay, this is progressed. This is definitely something. It's not just a cat puking. Mm-hmm. So we took her to an emergency veterinary hospital.
Because that's all that was open at the time.
Yeah, it was a Saturday. Yeah. So we took her in and we just said, do everything that you need to do to figure out what's wrong with her. So the first thing they did is they ran x-rays to see if there was an obstruction. Didn't see anything on the x-ray. So then they took some blood work to make sure all of her organs were working properly and there wasn't anything weird going on, and her blood work came back completely fine. So she was in the hospital for 5 hours that day, all the way up until almost midnight. What made it really hard is the entire time I was just sitting out in the truck because they were only doing curbside because of the pandemic. So I couldn't even be in there with my little kitty. So that was rough. And on top of that, the hospital is an hour and a half away from where we're staying in the National Forest. We're out in the middle of nowhere right now.
So as far as those 2 tests were concerned, because everything was fine, they felt okay sending her home with just an anti-nausea shot, hoping that she just ate something that didn't settle with her properly or something like that. And they told us that this is a very strong anti-nausea medication. It should last 24 hours. If she continues to vomit through this, something's very serious. And so we're just like, okay, cross our fingers, everything's fine. And we bring her home and she's very lethargic. She doesn't really want to be pet or loved on. She doesn't hop up in bed with us, but she's not vomiting.
Yeah.
And so we think, okay, that's a win. She gets in the litter box, but doesn't use the bathroom, but kind of seems like she wants to. And then she does, and it's all bloody. Yeah. So that was a little concerning, but we decided to wait the 24 hours that the shot's supposed to work and see if she continued to get sick. Well, lo and behold, we wake up, and there's already vomit on the floor, and as I'm cleaning it up, she throws up 3 more times. So we knew at that point in time that it was really serious, so I drove back in. I let them know we were coming. Again, it's still curbside. And I dropped her off. And they took brand new x-rays, did brand new blood work right when they got there, just to make sure that she wasn't progressing like really bad, really fast. And her x-rays showed that there could maybe be something.
There's a lot of gas buildup is what they saw for the most part, but they still didn't find an actual obstruction. But the vet said that, a lot of things that she could have eaten won't show up on an x-ray. So if she had some string or a hair tie or something like that, it most likely wouldn't show up on an x-ray. So the vet said that the next step was surgery. They needed to get in there and really see if there was an obstruction. So we said, go for it. Do what you need to do to make her healthy again. So they took her into surgery, and again, they weren't able to find anything.
They did, however, find that her lymph nodes in her intestines were incredibly swollen, and her colon was incredibly inflamed. So they knew that there was something wrong. They found out that where her spay...
right by her spay scar, there was some fatty buildup, some fatty tissue buildup that the intestines had sort of looped their way through. So the vet corrected that. She said she teased that out, but she didn't sound very confident that that was the issue.
She said it's pretty common. in cats that have surgery to develop stuff like that.
So then after that surgery, the veterinarian put her on some pain-killing medicine and some anti-nausea medicine. And once the anesthesia sort of wore off from her, she started eating again and drinking water. And so the vet called us and told us that, and that was very encouraging news. So we went to bed last night. That was last night.
Yeah.
Went to bed last night cautiously optimistic. And so we were thinking maybe, just maybe, Alice was on the mend. Even though they weren't able to find like that smoking gun that was causing this, maybe the flushing out of her GI tract during surgery and the correction of that fatty tissue buildup, an adhesion, the veterinarian called it, hopefully that helped Alice and she would be able to be on the mend from there on out. Well, this morning we got a call and the veterinarian said that Alice took a turn back for the worse and was throwing up again and drooling and clearly in pain. So we're just back to square one right now. However, during surgery, the veterinarian took a biopsy of her stomach and her colon, and those biopsies got sent out today, and we're supposed to receive the results within 3 to 5 days, and hopefully, just hopefully, that finally tells us what's wrong with her. It should tell us if there's some sort of viral infection, if it's, God forbid, cancer,
or an autoimmune disease that she can't recover from. So
right now we're really just hoping it's a viral infection that her body can fight off, and the hospital can just treat her symptoms, keep her vitals up and her electrolytes up, and just support her while her body fights off the virus.
I want to stay as hopeful as possible because she's really stubborn, guys.
She really is.
When you're eating food on a plate and she comes over and she wants to sniff it, no amount of blowing on her or tapping on her head is gonna get her to go away.
You have to physically move her.
You have to move her.
Same thing if she's like on your chair and you're like, I roll my chair out to sit on it to start working or something, and she's there and I'm like, all right, Alice, come on, I'll tap her butt, and she'll just hunker down more. Yeah, she's like, no. And so you have to actually move her. And so just take those two examples, apply them to everything. And that's how stubborn this little kitty is. So we're hoping that willpower, she's able to channel that into fighting off whatever is wrong with her.
I just hope that she can hold off long enough for us to get the results back and treat her for whatever's wrong with her.
What we've learned from this experience, though, is just how difficult emergency pet care is when you travel the way that we do. First off, we are out in the middle of nowhere in the Black Hills National Forest in South Dakota. So we are an hour and 20 minutes away from the nearest veterinary hospital. Now, there is a clinic only about 20 or 30 minutes away, but what is going on with Alice, she needs a hospital, not a clinic, and she needs round-the-clock care. So even if this issue would have happened on, throughout the week when that clinic was open, she would eventually have been sent to a veterinary hospital anyway. And we can only be boondocking in this national forest for 14 days. We are on day 6 now. So we only have 8 days left until we have to move somewhere, most likely out of the national forest. I haven't looked at the regulations, and every national forest is different, but if Alice is still in the hospital, we're going to have to figure out some sort of logistics, find a new place to stay. We're probably going to pick somewhere closer to the veterinary hospital, but if we select an RV park, which we're going to try to avoid, but that's just going to pile on costs, a daily rate for that RV park onto already astronomical veterinary bills. And another thing is that Alice isn't able to be seen by veterinarians that we're familiar with. We have a vet back home in Fort Wayne, Indiana that we're extremely familiar with. I actually used to work at that vet when I was a teenager, and we've been taking our pets, my childhood pets, and Jenny and my pets there for ever, my entire life. And it's been the same veterinarian the entire time. Also, back in where my brother lives in Seattle, Washington, one of my brother's friends is a veterinarian, and she has seen Sweetie. So we have a vet in Washington and one in Indiana that we're extremely familiar with. But the veterinarian that's currently taking care of Alice, we've never met her. We've only spoken to her over the phone. We trust that she's qualified, and I'm sure she is, but it's just unfamiliar, and that, makes you pretty uneasy when it's a life and death situation like this. And then lastly, we're alone through all of this. And, this is a double-edged sword, because Jenny and I come out here to be alone. This is why we're here. We have purposely removed ourselves from civilization, because this is what we love the most. We love the serenity of the national forest and just being away from it all and being alone. But in an emergency situation like this, you really crave that support system. We've just really been craving human contact with our friends and our family. What I would not give to have my parents here, my brother here. Sorry guys, it's just really hard being alone right now, but at the very least we have you guys, and that's one of the big reasons that we're making this video is, we want to keep you guys in the loop. And I know that a lot of you care for Alice, Sweetie, Butters, the rabbits just as much, if not more, than you care about us. I mean, they are the stars of the show after all, right? But another reason we're making this video is that we just need you guys. We've already gotten a ton of support and well wishes and just so many kind words from you guys, because throughout this whole thing, we've been giving live updates on our social media, like Instagram and Facebook. But it really helps. You guys have been with us the whole time on our journey, so your support means the world to us.
Another reason we wanted to include you guys in what is going on with Alice is because you guys have been there since we got her. We picked her up about 2 years ago. She'll be 2 the end of this next month, the end of July. And you guys were there when we picked her up in Washington. She went on our first hike in a fanny pack with us, and she's gone on many hikes with us since. But overall, you guys have been there following us on Instagram, following her on Instagram, and Sweetie and Butters and the rabbits. And you guys know just how much all of our pets mean to us. And if you guys remember me sharing the story of why we ended up getting Alice, you know that it's because I begged and pleaded with David for about 3 days to get her before he finally gave in and said fine. And it's because I held this tiny little 5-week-old kitten, and she reached her head up and she booped my nose with her nose, and I saw that as a sign that she picked me. And so we've made sure that throughout this whole process that she knows that she picked the right people for this. And we're doing everything we can. We're sparing no expense to make sure that she's getting the care she needs, that she's not in pain during this, and that we can hopefully get test results back quickly enough to help her. Our pets really are like our kids. We don't have children, and we have no plans anytime soon to have children. So for us, Alice is our smallest little baby, and she's not even 2 years old yet. So something like this happening to her is so hard, because we've been bonding with her all this time and watching her grow into the stubborn little rascal of a kitten that she is now. And we just hope that she can make it through this. And we hope that we have good news in the future for you.
Thank you all for being so supportive and sending your love for us and Alice through this whole thing. Unfortunately, again, we still don't know what's wrong with her, and we probably won't know until those biopsy results come back in 3 to 5 days. So as of the recording of this, we don't know what the outcome is going to be. But we'll definitely be keeping everyone updated live on our social media, and we'll see what the future holds.
Alice is finally home. She was in the hospital for 5 days, and the entire problem has been ongoing for about a week now. And she's luckily doing great enough that she can come home, and this means the absolute world to us. She is our tiny little baby, and for a little while there, we were really unsure if she would ever be able to come home. She was really sick, you guys, and we just kept getting bad news after bad news after bad news. And then, miraculously, yesterday morning, they said that all of a sudden she was spry and chipper and excited, and she wanted out and she wanted to be loved on, and all of a sudden she wasn't lethargic anymore. So they let that go on all day yesterday. Every update we got yesterday was positive. All right, I gotta put her back down because I don't want her to flail too much because she still has these incisions. Here you go, baby. We are keeping her in the bathroom because we don't want her to jump around too much because she still has those sutures, and they're relatively fresh. As long as we hold her nice and gently, it's not too bad, but I don't want her to start squirming around and then me feel like I have to catch her and her want to jump around. So she's staying in there for now. I think she has to be restricted for about a week until those sutures are really nice and healed up. But we are so happy to have her home, guys. She's our tiny baby. David and I say it all the time. Alice is our tiny baby. She's our stubborn little turd, and she just means the world to us. So everyone at the Rapid City Emergency Vet Hospital that helped take care of her are seriously our heroes. So we stopped at the store before we went to the emergency hospital to pick up Alice, and we got them some goodies. We got them chocolates and cookies and cupcakes, all kinds of stuff. And we also gave them a thank you note. And some of you may be wondering what was in that thank you note. And so I'm going to read it to you now. We wrote, "Thank you for saving Alice. This tiny, stubborn kitten has a lot to live for, and many happier adventures to go on. We have almost 100,000 followers that probably love our pets more than us, who we've been keeping updated throughout this whole process. They have been sending well wishes, good vibes, prayers, and love our way, all for Alice the Adventure Cat to pull through this. You haven't just touched our lives by saving her, but all of theirs as well. We've included a sticker for our YouTube channel so you don't have to remember where to see Alice's next adventure. This may have been her worst adventure yet, but now, thanks to your help, she has many more to look forward to. Thank you for being all of our heroes. And, sorry, I might lose it. I wanted to make sure that our thank you note to them included you guys, because you guys helped hold us together during the time that Alice was in the hospital. And so many of you care for her, and you've shared with us how much you care for her, and it really means the world to us.
Alice has been through so much in the last 5 days, and I've got it all right here. She's had 2 x-rays taken, her blood drawn twice for blood work. She had exploratory surgery through her entire GI tract to make sure that there was no obstruction anywhere causing the issue. And she also had biopsies taken of her stomach, intestine, and colon, I believe, and we still don't have the results back from that. So actually, after all that, we still don't know what's wrong with Alice, or she just got better kind of on her own, but we're waiting. Hopefully the biopsy results tell us what was wrong with her. A ton of medications, 4 days of boarding and medical observation in the emergency veterinary clinic, and we got sent home with a ton of medications. Got all this stuff for Alice that we have to give her each day, and thankfully we got a list. Oh my gosh, so many papers. Got a list right here of things that she got. She got an antibiotic, an antacid, an anti-nausea, an anti-inflammatory, and an appetite stimulant in case she stops eating. We can give her that so that she starts eating on her own. And the total cost for all of that was $3,070.75. And the reason we're sharing that number with you guys is so that if you travel with animals as well, you'll definitely want to be prepared for something like this happening. You know, a worst case scenario event where your animal needs emergency care at an emergency veterinary hospital, and yeah, it can be pretty pricey. Jenny and I both firmly believe that whenever you adopt an animal, it is now your duty to protect and provide for that animal and to provide care for them, because they're not able to do it for themselves. So it's up to us humans to look after them.
I've got myself squeezed in here between the toilet and the bathtub because we were told that right now Alice is being a very social eater. She doesn't really want to eat if food's just by her. She wants to eat with someone else there, maybe petting her, and she's already almost completely finished her food now, so I'm really glad I'm just sitting here, no matter how uncomfortable it might be. And we are so happy to have Alice home. Everyone that took care of her at the veterinary hospital were the best possible people to look after her because they made it so we got to bring her home. But I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up. She's almost done eating, and then I'm gonna let her rest. And thank you everybody so much again for all of your support and your love, especially for this tiny kitten Alice here. So we'll catch you guys next time. Bye.
Well guys, I've got the final update for you on little Alice here. The biopsy results came in and it was good news. The vet said that it shouldn't be any sort of long-term or chronic issue. It should be resolved now and Alice should be good to go for the future. The problem was that she had a bacterial overgrowth in her duodenum, which is the part of the intestine that connects the intestines to the stomach. And because that overgrowth was there, it basically blocked off anything from getting through, any of her stomach juices. So that's why she just kept throwing up. But they got that corrected and she's fine now. She's back to her old self. And it's just incredible, you guys. And what is she wearing right here, you might ask? Jenny was nice enough to make Alice a cone out of some spare fabric, and she reinforced it just with cardboard to give it some shape. And she did that because the plastic cone that the vet sent with us was really heavy for her and huge. So you could tell that it was just really cumbersome for her. She could barely even hold her head up. So Jenny spent some time and made her a nice light one. She has to wear this for about a week now because she still has these sutures. Oh, if you can see them. So yeah, we can't have Alice digging at those, trying to get those out. If she wasn't wearing her cone, she definitely would, because she is a little turd. But you only have to wear that for 5 more days, kitty, and then you're back to normal. Thank you guys again for all of your support and well wishes for Alice here. The emotional turmoil that Jenny and I went through was just insane. We love our pets so much. They're such a huge part of our lives that, you know, when they hurt, we hurt. So, you know, you guys really helped get us through the time, and we can't thank you enough. We really appreciate it. But happier times are ahead of us, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye. Sweet Pete, you say goodbye to him.
Happy Alice.
Oh, I took her cone off so she could, I was holding her, so.
She can't get to her stitches if you're holding her.
She hates that cone, you guys. So if we can watch her directly, we usually have it off for her. But when we go to sleep, it goes back on.